Good evening, everyone. This is Kickoff 90. I'm Kevin Matisse, and I will be reviewing today day one through day three of the World Cup. What an exciting start to the World Cup. Lots of things to discuss. We will go through each and every game, some of my thoughts on it. And we've got some games coming up here that are going to be really exciting. We have yet to see the Brazils of the world, the Germanys of the world, right? Portugal, is there going to be any distractions there? The Spains, right? Serbia is also a dark horse team that we'd like to see. So lots of teams still to see. And we will be covering all of those games here with our reactions every 3 days. So let's begin the opening ceremony. What an incredible opening ceremony. It's very clear that the stadiums were a big focus, right? The stadiums are a very kind of cross mix between historical, but also having a little bit of modernism to them. So each stadium represents a different part of Qatar, which I thought was really interesting. You've got an education stadium. You have the final stadium. You have an architectural stadium. So really interesting how some of the stadiums have meanings behind them. Let's get into it. Let's go straight away. So we started off with Ecuador versus Qatar, the host nation. Interesting game. The Ecuadorian team, we talked about this on our previous video. Very, very interesting team. They've got some really good players. You saw that in the game, the Casitos of the world, the Estupiñans, and of course their star striker. He is actually the number, and I'm blanking on his name now. Blanking on his name temporarily. Let me get that information up for you guys because that is important. Valencia, Enner Valencia. That's right. He plays for Fenerbahce. He's been around. He's gone. Tigres, played in the Mexican National League, and he also played at West Ham, if I'm not mistaken. So the all-time goal scorer for Ecuador. Very strong player. Beautiful little header towards the end there. But what was impressive about Ecuador is how many crosses they put into the box. This is a team. This is a team to watch out for. These South American teams have a lot of energy. They can press really effectively, and we've only seen, I think, just a limited potential of what they can offer. The host nation, I apologize, but the host nation was not up to par. It's one of the first times the host nations didn't get a victory as well in their opening game. I sadly predict that they will go out very, very quickly. I do not think we will be seeing the host nation move on to the knockout stages, but we shall see. Maybe that's something that changes. Maybe they can get together. The beauty of the World Cup is these teams can quickly revitalize themselves. So it could be something where we see a change in formation or a change in players. Let's move on to game number 2, Senegal versus Netherlands. I am going to tell you, my Dutch friends, the people of the Netherlands, this team is so reliant on Frankie de Jong. It isn't even close. Not only was he the player that touched the ball the most in that game, but the whole team chemistry and fluidity completely collapses when he doesn't touch the ball. Beautiful ball to Cody Gakpo for the goal. He is instrumental in that team. They played with 3 center backs, and their wing backs, Daley Blind and Dumfries, having a hard time opening up and gathering that ball from their center backs. And the center backs were instructed not to go long. The Senegal team pressed them really well. If you watch the first 15 minutes of that game again, they didn't want to go long. And when they pressed like that, Senegal, that was playing a 4-4-2, pressed really well on the center backs, got into those inseams and those pockets, and they forced the Dutch national team to play a little bit longer, to Jansen, their striker, as well as others. So that was really interesting. Very interesting game. The Dutch team needs to make sure that they are not too reliant on Frankie De Jong. A hell of a player, incredible player, very cool under pressure, good distributor of the ball, good connector. But yeah, that was really apparent when watching that game. Senegal team had quite good energy. They had chances. You could tell that when they got near the box, the opposition box, they were a little bit void of creativity. And so that was really apparent. But this Senegal team can surprise a few people. I could see, Senegal Ecuador is going to be a very interesting game. I encourage people to watch that game. And let me see if I can find when that is. Um, that's going to be the third game. Yeah, looks like that's going to be on November 29th. So we'll have some time to wait there. All right, the third game, the game that people are talking about the most, the Three Lions versus Iran. Iran, typically coached by Carlos Queiroz, he very physical team. You could tell on the get go they tried to go in physical. They don't have a lot of the flair players and just that creativity that some of the other nations have. So they decided to go more of a physical ball. And the English, the Three Lions, look, those players play in the Premier League. Those are some of the most physical players you can find playing the game actuality in this moment. So that was of no concern to the Brits. They did a fantastic job. I gotta say, there's two double pivots that really impressed me, and this is the first one. The Declan Wright and Jude Bellingham double pivot was magnificent. Okay, and I don't want to hype the English up too much because they're going to do that themselves, but that was a masterclass double pivot. Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham looked really good. Okay, and obviously the highlights are going to go to Sterling. They're going to go to Kane. They're going to go, but that team played very well. The Three Lions, little bit. There's a lot of concerns with the two center backs. I think they will get exposed. Um, John Stones and Harry Maguire will have to face attackers that will provide them more issues. But for this game, it turned out really well. Kane was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was brilliant. I think he ended the game with 2 or 3 assists. His hold up play was phenomenal. He engaged his teammates around him. So overall, the three lines should be very happy. Very comfortable victory. Interesting game versus the U.S. come Friday. That transitions into the USA versus Wales. Here in America, lots of kind of a mixed reaction, right? Either expectations were fairly high for the U.S. or expectations are fairly low. Not a lot of in between. And to be honest, my expectations were fairly low for the U.S. I did not think we prepared for this World Cup in the appropriate way. Some of the results that we received showed a team that was a little bit of disharmony from the defense all the way to the attack. Lots of different cycles of different players that you couldn't really see what I didn't really understand what the coach was trying. His ideology and philosophy of play is very hard to diagnose. And so came into the game, had a fantastic start, right? Timothy Weah with the goal, beautiful ball by Christian Pulisic, and the passing from the Americans was very good. There has been an evolution to this team. If you've been watching soccer for long enough, the American soccer has developed, and that's a joy to watch, honestly. So I welcome that quite a lot. I deeply enjoy the wealth of depth that the United States has at outside backs, whether it's on the left side or the right side. The Robinson brothers are great. I'm a big fan of Yedlin, and there's a few more in there that can play. Not impressed with the center backs whatsoever. What gave the penalty to the Welsh, that tackle by Ream, whether you think he got the ball first or not, you as a center back, you don't make that tackle. A player has his back turned to goal. and you make a tackle like that in the last 15 minutes of the game, you are forcing the referee to make a decision. And you don't want to force referees to make decisions that can cost you games. That was drop points. The U.S. locker room went into that game at the end thinking they dropped points, and valid. They absolutely did. They played incredibly well, and that's unfortunate that it ended up that way. The Welsh team, interesting team. I thought they would have come out a bit more dominant. I do Bale down the middle is quite interesting. I know they do that quite a lot with the national team. But I do see there's a lot of interchangeability between Daniel James, Gareth Bale, Wilson. They've got a lot of players in there that can kind of rotate positions. Wouldn't be surprised if you saw some changes from the Welsh. I think they've got I think they've got a lot of flexibility in their players. And they had some good little players that stand out. They have players that can find form. So I'm curious to see what the Welsh do moving forward. Let's talk to the upset of the tournament. And then I was having a discussion with a few people. Is Leicester winning the Premier League more of an upset than Argentina versus Saudi Arabia? In my opinion, it's not even a debate. Winning the league is 38 games plus cup games plus European competition. That's so much harder than one game. So, but this is one of the biggest upsets, definitely in the World Cup. We think of 2002 Senegal versus France. We think of we on the opposite side of the coin, we think of Germany versus Brazil. That annihilation. I mean, that was hard to watch. Brazil were in their own country and absolutely getting destroyed by the Germans. So much so that the coach had to say at halftime, guys, we need to stop scoring. And Schürrle, who kept on scoring, apparently missed the halftime talk because he was in the bathroom. So he didn't get the memo. But that was hard to watch. What was evident in this game is Argentina approached that game with a lot of confidence, and quite frankly, they were stunned. They were stunned. And I believe that Argentina is looking at that team, right? There are three players, right, that I looked at and said, man, is this where we're, you're looking at the Di Maria who was Di Maria was placed in a hard position, had to make do with the role that he was given. It is not his ideal position. You do not want Di Maria going up and down as a true winger. You want him as a 4-3-3 inverted striker with the ability to hit his defenders 1v1, isolate his defenders, and be able to cross that ball with that wicked left foot. Messi had a nice, very confident penalty, but I don't know if one of the biggest things that we're seeing from some of our older players is, Messi was known. When you think of Messi, most of you will think of dazzling runs and goals, right? When you that are the Messi highlights. His ability to just make 15-yard runs, even longer sometimes, and just bamboozle defenders is what made Messi great. That's no longer the case. I mean, Messi is no longer, that game is gone, right? It's not gone. It's just we're getting older. So are we. Content creators, bankers, all of us are getting older. And so is Messi. And so his game has had to adapt, and he's done a really good job of adapting. But that was a bit hard to watch. What really shocked me out of Argentina was how demoralized they got. I mean, they capsized and so quickly. You do not want to have that kind of mentality in a tournament like the World Cup. That can make it a very short World Cup, or it can make you go through the trials and tribulations. The good news is this, Argentina, and this is true. Usually, the teams that win the World Cup have to undergo a trial of tribulation of some sort. What am I talking about? Huge pivotal call, like a horrible call against you, red card, losing an opening game. I always go back to a lot of the World Cup, the Italian teams that won. Uh, a little bit of drama can fuel a team. A little bit of drama can fuel a team. And it will be really interesting to see how Argentina respond. And Argentina will respond unless this mentality, this defeatist mentality that they kind of had after the goals, is much deeper than we actually think. How saddening would it be to see one of the greatest of all time, maybe the greatest of all time? I'll leave that opinion to the viewers, going out in the group stages. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, how beautiful was that? I hope every single person, I've texted a few of my Saudi Arabian friends. I am so happy for them. It is what an incredible achievement. Will definitely go down as one of the greatest upsets in football history currently as it stands, but played a very strong game. I would not count this as a fluke, ladies and gentlemen. I would keep an eye on Saudi Arabia. This group with these teams, if they can play this way, they were strong down the middle. They won a lot of balls back. They disrupted a lot of attacks. Ooh, they can manage to score goals consistently. Be careful, friends. This could be a team to watch out for. Okay. Then we go to Mexico versus Poland. Here's something that people may not agree with, maybe controversial, but I actually really enjoyed the Mexico. They didn't play with a double pivot. They played with three in the midfield, and you could see that at times they were pushing in various 6s and 8s and 10 roles. But I really liked the Alvarez and Hector in the midfield. Those are two very strong competitors, can put in a tackle and can distribute the flow. I thought there was a big disconnect with the attack in the midfield. Defense looked fine. I don't think that's a major concern, but the Mexican team did. I envisioned them to create a lot more chances, and they did not. That was pretty disheartening. And Poland, wow. Poland is one that I was watching, and I was not impressed whatsoever. Not impressed whatsoever. I mean, the team play, the team chemistry is off. Something is going on there. Lewandowski is going through a tough time at Barcelona. The penalty miss, I mean, the video of him talking to himself after the penalty miss, yeah, and even his link-up play, which was one of his strongest suits, just wasn't there. What is happening with Poland? I have some concerns for Poland. If I have concerns for any team, I said the Netherlands is very concerning. I know they won, but their over-reliance on Frankie is a problem. But Poland, it's a team chemistry that I'm concerned about. So my Polish friends, you got to get it together. I could see this team. I don't know if they'll make major changes. I don't see their squad potentially being as deep to be able to do some of those massive changes, but stay tuned. We go to Denmark versus Tunisia. 0-0 game. Interesting. Tunisia put up a very good fight. The Danish were a bit, at times they looked phenomenal, and there were instances where they looked rather bland. It was really a game, kind of a lack of consistency. Very interesting game by both teams. I don't have much on this game, to be fair. This was one that really didn't. I thought both teams were kind of trying a few things, but were rather pretty pretty conservative in their approach to the game. They're These teams are going to have to take more risks. My analysis for both teams is you got to take more risks on both sides. The Danish, with Christian Eriksen, Christensen in the back, they have players that can hurt you. I would not discount the Danish, especially against France. That could be a very tough game for the French national team, especially in the midfield. That's for sure. Moving to France versus Australia, this was a really fun game to watch. The Aussies came in and put up a serious fight. Very good team. They broke. Their transition was really good. I was very impressed with how the Australians broke and counterattacked in a few situations and exploited the French weakness really on the outside. So France had a very interesting tactic. France has been trying to reimagine itself by going with 3 center backs in the back. It did not do that today. It went with its 4-2-3-1, which won the World Cup last season. Deschamps has tried to evolve this team, but it's been very clear if you've watched France for the last few weeks and whatnot, they are not ready to transition to that. They have not figured it out. France does have an overabundance of center backs. They have an overabundance of center backs. I mean, it's not even so you're thinking with that approach, you play 3 at the back, right? Just like the Dutch have, just like the Italians do. So what was interesting is the French approach was very much pushing Mbappe and Dembele out wide, trying to get them space, get them the ball, and isolate them with 1v1s. And it worked. The decision to do that worked. And when you isolate those two in the 1v1s, Giroud is not a striker that's going to make his own goal. Giroud is somebody you put a ball in the box and he heads it he taps it in. That's his game, and he's very, very good at it. He recently, congratulations, Giroud. He is now tied Titi or Thierry Henry as the joint top scorer for France. So congratulations on that one achievement. But there are some areas of concerns for France. 2 areas of concerns for me for France, even though he had a good game, is Adrien Rabiot and Tchouaméni partnership. Tchouaméni had to do a lot of the sweeping. He's clearly playing as the more defensive approach, and Rabiot is doing a bit more of the 8 really going up and down. Had a really good game today, but I do see that as a problem. The center backs were not comfortable giving them the ball, and they were not opening up the game. In fact, if you rewatch, the center backs often went directly to the wingers and played a little bit longer. I think the second concern is Antoine Griezmann. Decent game today, but he is so instrumental in connecting that attack and that midfield that disbalance between Rabiot and Griezmann is a serious concern for the French national team. And I know right now the hype is big because the French scored. Mbappe is off to a flying start. So is Giroud. The French should be extremely happy. They played a good game and they kept their head in it. But those are the only 2 areas of concerns. They will be tested, and the depth of the French squad will be tested now. And will it force, with now another injury to Hernandez, will this force Deschamps to make a last-minute call-up? Teams have till Monday to make those decisions. So that covers all of the match days that we had. I hope you really enjoyed this. Continue to watch the World Cup. Please, if you are liking this content, please like and subscribe. I do plan on posting out more videos and posting shorter videos because I think some of these analysis videos get a bit too long. But we are passionate about this. We do love this beautiful game. As Patrice Evra says, I love this game. And yes, Patrice, we love this game as well. So stay tuned. We will bust out some more videos for the World Cup. Part 2 will come out after the 3 days. And I look forward to getting your comments and your feedback. As always, stay tuned. And here at the Kickoff 90, we're looking forward to giving you in-depth analysis on the soccer world. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.